Hi, everybody. Welcome to True Start Coaching, Ebba P. Karlsson. Today, I have a beautiful honor to introduce to you Marc Feinberg from Miami, who is an amazing coach. He is a counselor. He is also a motivational speaker. He's a high performance coach, and he is also an author. I think you wrote a book, right? Or several books? Maybe. Anyway, it's my pleasure to welcome you to the show, Marc. Thank you for coming here and having a moment talking about coaching. I'm going to talk to you about my book, How We Met. So, True Starlight was the book I wrote 2017, and it's now out in bookstores globally, hopefully.
Bravo.
And you have a big part of that book because without you, I am not sure it would have been happening because you came into my life in a crucial moment. It was 2015. I had just, I was in a turmoil trying to figure out who am I. Robert wasn't my husband, didn't play so well. So we were like looking into what are other means for us to have a living, and it kicked me out. Like I have to start working because the kids are getting older. They don't really need me as much. And as you know, I had a big or long background with different coaches and different techniques and educations, but I was pretty fed up with coaching. So being a coach was pretty much the last thing I ever wanted to be. And I was like looking for who am I, what I'm supposed to do. And then this guy popped up on Facebook, I think it was, called Ted McGrath, and the message to millions, how to find your story, how to find your message through your story. And I was really attracted to that. So I was in Sweden, it was summertime, it was probably late at night, it was still light outside. And I got to do this. This is so interesting. I got to do this. It felt really great. And at the end of the whole thing, I was going to talk to somebody and they were going to give you a personal coach to talk to. And I just really prayed to the source or universe, like, please give me the best coach I could ever have. And I was assigned a coach, and then suddenly that changed. And then suddenly, well, you arrived into my life with your great voice, and since then I got to work with you, and I got to go to Hollywood and attend this message to millions and meet you live. And you're the person that really changed a lot of things for me because you reminded me of my own true self, my power. You saw all those things within me that I came to realize, actually, I do have a lot of knowledge. I do have a lot of understandings, and I can actually be a great coach. So that's when it started, that whole journey. So that was a little bit of the background for everybody who don't know how we are connected. So Marc, please introduce yourself. Share a little bit about who you are, please.
Wow. Well, I'm reminiscing about how all that took place when we first met. And, there are certain people that cross paths in life, and they're just crossing. They're actually passing one another, and they interject for a time or a season, and then they move on. And I feel as though our friendship and our relationship is one of those relationships that, as we met, we came to a conclusion that we were going to go on a journey together. And that journey would take us wherever it was going to take us. And that it would be one of those lifelong friendships that never, ever stopped. The energy that we have when we get together and we collaborate and we share our thoughts and ideas and life is just so wonderful and beautiful. And I'm honored and privileged that I have Ebba Karlsson in my life to go through life with, because you're just an outstanding human being. You're an amazing wife and mother, and you have done so many great things with your life. And I thought how is it that this young lady doesn't see all of this greatness before her? And then it dawned on me. It dawned on me because you have been, and I'm reluctant to use this word, but I'm going to use it anyway. You've been in the shadow of a very public figure for a really long time. And oftentimes, his notoriety, his public appearance, his stardom in his craft can actually overshadow a wife like yourself, and all of a sudden you kind of forget how great you are. And I think that eventually you had the wonderful insight and revelation that you had greatness too, and you had this gift that was so beautiful, but you needed to take it off the shelf and dust it off and then offer it to humanity so we could actually experience how wonderful you are and how brilliant and how interesting and instructive and educated that you really are. And your leadership was kind of hidden behind the scenes because you were a humble, loving, serving wife to somebody that was in the public eye. And that revelation, when it came, was probably life-changing for you, because all of a sudden, this message came out of you that you have this entire lifetime of experience and life lessons and wisdom to impart to the rest of us. And you no longer had to put it away or keep it hidden. You could actually come out and share it with all of us. And that was a great day for humanity, Ebba.
Oh.
That day that you made that decision to take your wisdom off the shelf, dust it off, and start to offer it to us as clients and as friends and as family. It was a great day in humanity, because I'm sure we missed out for many years because you were playing this very responsible and very important role in your family. And yet, you were selfless enough to take your gift and put it on the shelf for a while. And hopefully you'll never do that again, no matter what your role is in life, because your heart and your expression of love must be shared in the world. Because if it's not, we're all cheated and we all get ripped off when it's not. So I'm just blessed that you're at that place, that you are willing to share yourself in the ways that you are now in your coaching business.
Wow, Marc, thank you. You're making me really happy. I don't know, I'm almost lacking words to express what I feel, but that was quite some sharing you just did. Thank you so much, really, from the bottom of my heart. And I can really say that you are indeed, I always felt very close to you, and I always felt very safe. Your friendship means so much to me. So thank you for sharing all those words. But
You're
now,
welcome. You're welcome.
Back to
Yes.
you. Back to
And
you. Also.
Back to the original question, about who am I?
Yes.
Well, everything that I just said about you is really a reflection of some of what is me.
So true.
I'm a lover of humanity. I grew up starving for love and attention. When my dad left, when I was 6 years old, and I grew up very insecure and afraid. We were very poor, and dinner for my brother and I was SpaghettiOs out of a can.
Wow.
And we'd open up the can of SpaghettiOs, and we wouldn't even heat it up; we would just eat it. And peanut butter and jelly every day for school, and it was the same thing every day. And I was afraid I wasn't going to have food. I wasn't going to have leadership. I wasn't going to have love, affection. Dad was gone. Mom was always working. It was very difficult as a kid. And I learned fear, insecurity, low self-esteem, low self-confidence, very little self-love manifested from those beliefs, because I learned how to become or be that. And nobody told me any different. And that journey took me on a journey for 30 years of hiding and putting on mask after mask so that I could fit in and that you would accept me and approve me and like me and include me. And that was 30 years of life playing this charade with Marc Feinberg to where I didn't know who I was anymore. I was lost. I was a lost soul and very confused about what life was really all about. And it was nobody's fault. I just came to a lot of conclusions and made them my truth. And at 30 years old, everything changed. I had this experience. I had a 3-day weekend in this training. And all of a sudden, these lights started coming on for me, that I was a victim and that I played this blame game. And it was everybody else's fault that I was who I was and how I felt and why I wasn't a baseball player and why I wasn't successful and why I wasn't a man like I should have been. And I didn't have courage or confidence. It was everybody else's fault, but that weekend changed everything. And I finally learned that I could forgive and let go and surrender. So I went from a lifetime for 30 years of bitterness, resentment, unforgiveness to, in one split second, standing as a cause, taking responsibility, and all of a sudden I started to evolve into a man that was loving, generous, humble, confident, a leader, an educator, a mentor of people. I started a company that just blew up because I was in a space to create once again, where I had all my power back from all the people I forgave. And so I think, aside from love, forgiveness has got to be the second strongest, most powerful principle in the universe. So I've become a man of great forgiveness, great grace. And I'm a sober man. I don't do drugs, and I'm very careful about my choices in life. And I still fall short and make mistakes. Yet I've learned to fail forward. I learned to fail forward. So I've given myself permission to blow it, to make a wrong choice or a mistake, learn from it and move on. And that's what I teach my clients. I teach them, like you, how to take the failures of the past, redefine them, bring them into play again as something beautiful and glorious and something powerful, and use all of that experience to create something in the future, something that's meaningful and purposeful. So I grew up without a dad. I grew up with one brother. My dad remarried several times, so I'm the first of 8. Been in Florida for 40 years, which is a blessing because I can't imagine still living in New York for these past 40 years. Oh my goodness. I'm in one of the greatest states in the country, and I love helping people. I've got 4 beautiful children that I love and adore, and I'm a child of God most of all. I'm a child of God. That's my identity. That's who I am. Marc Feinberg is a child of God. I'm loved. I'm forgiven. I'm approved. I'm accepted, and nobody can take that away from me.
No,
and that's how I go through my life.
I love that.
With those truths.
You really are. No, you're really walking your talk, and that's my experience, and that's what I felt so attracted to you as a coach and as a human being, because you were so authentic and real, and to me that was crucial, to have a coach that could be vulnerable, who could share, like especially a man, and who had, you have a beautiful big heart, so it's hard not to love you, of course, but those things are so attractive, and I wish we had more men like that feel confident in their manlyhood, like that they can be powerful but still vulnerable, and not being afraid of being vulnerable, because such an attractive quality. And also, like you talked about, letting go of your personality. That's another thing that I think is huge, that you're not longer identified with that doer. You're more identified like I'm a human being and this is who I am, and that makes me valuable. So those things are so attractive. So congratulations to you for doing that.
Thank you. Thank you. It's very difficult for men in general, to be transparent and vulnerable, because the one thing that we're motivated by more than anything is respect. And oftentimes, being vulnerable and transparent means ridicule and rejection, which is the complete bipolar opposite of respect. And so women, I think, are driven more by love. Men are driven more by respect. And so if I'm going to be transparent and vulnerable, I'm going to have to be willing to embrace the rejection and the disapproval and the ridicule when I am transparent and vulnerable, and not equated to a lack of respect. I can still feel respect for myself as other people ridicule me, right? I can still feel respect for myself as other people belittle my transparency or my vulnerability or my shortcomings. So I don't have to lose any, I've learned I don't have to lose any self-respect when being vulnerable and transparent. And I think if, I teach my clients that are men to be transparent and vulnerable, because what ends up happening is they create a lot more self-respect. And in that genuineness, other people begin to respect them at greater levels as well. So you're right. You're right. I think all of us need to have a deeper level. Maybe not all of us. Most of us need to have a deeper connection to being vulnerable and transparent.
Sorry, that was my cat in the way.
Hey, I like that cat in the picture. We need to keep her in there. Keep
Crawling
her in the
around.
frame.
Oh, it's funny. She's trying to get some love here.
You want me to get the Great Dane?
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about when did you decide that you needed to share your message? What was it like awoke within you? Like, how did you become a coach?
I started to see the value in having advisors and counselors and coaches and mentors in my own life. And as I got on a journey of I guess it was a spiritual journey, a journey of transformation and personal growth, I, at 30 years old, began to allow people in and influence me in many different areas of my life, my health, my finances, my spiritual walk, my mental power to create in business. And so as I allowed people in and hired advisors and coaches to help me, I saw the value in having that wisdom that came from others. I love the proverb, that says that there is safety in a multitude of counselors. Safety. And so I think about probably, just about all of the successful, high-performing entrepreneurs and athletes in the world. They all have, a dozen coaches. A health coach, a stretching coach, a financial coach, a relationship coach, a confidence coach, a speaking coach. There's so many coaches out there. And I want to suggest that people that are highly achieving and extraordinarily successful, they see the value in having a multitude of counselors, and they find safety in that. So I think that proverb is it's applicable to all of us. And so when I saw the value in having coaches, at some point I started to pour that out. I'd get filled up and I'd pour it out in my everyday life. Maybe it was to my son, to my daughter, maybe it was to my friend or family member or one of my vendors, one of my employees. I began to, just naturally pour out mentorship and leadership into people's lives as I was growing and expanding. And somewhere along the way, I officially became a life coach. and a business coach and a performance coach. And I was able to share my gift at some very high levels with some really cool people along the way. And so I think that coaches understand the value of being coached. It's very rare that you would find a coach that hasn't been coached.
Yeah.
And I think that it's the same way with therapists or counselors. They see the value in being counseled and having a therapist in their life at some point, and eventually they become therapists and counselors. And so, yeah, I think it's a great genre. It's just a great environment to help people grow up and help people to expand in their life. And I love the difference that I'm able to make in someone's life.
That's awesome. So, what do you think it takes to become your best version of yourself? Like, that's kind of what we worked at. Like, what do you need to do to become more of yourself? And to first of all, finding that, because a lot of people don't really know what they want. So how do we come to the understanding what I want, and how do I align myself with that? What is your advice?
That's a great question. How is it that you came to the conclusions of what you wanted?
I love that question. Well, that was really just starting to listen to what do I know? What the breakthrough? Like, what is the breakthrough? What did I understand in that breakthrough? And from there, finding out, what is my passion, and looking at what are the things that I love doing. And then it kind of developed from there, I guess, for me. But I definitely needed to ask those questions, because you need to ask yourself questions to get answers. Like, they can arise, I guess, from within, but you have to kind of ponder on it, I think.
The more powerful the question, the higher the quality of question, the more comprehensive the conclusion or the answer. And I've heard it said before many times that clarity is power. Clarity is power. And when we're clear on what we want, there's power in that. And so, for instance, if somebody is struggling in their career, like Evander Holyfield was at 48 years old, and he didn't know what he was going to do, and he was hoping for one more title fight and a $15 million payday to solve all his problems, and they wouldn't give him, they wouldn't sanction him, they just wouldn't allow him to fight because of his health. He was, his age. He thought, one more fight with Vladimir Klitschko, and I could solve my foreclosure, and I can solve my money problems, and I can move on in my life. And it didn't happen. And I wrote him a letter, and he happened to call me. And a week later, I was having breakfast with my sports hero at the W Hotel in Atlanta. And the problem for him to transition out of the ring into something new was he didn't have clarity. What was he going to do? All he knew was hitting people, knocking people out, and getting big, big paychecks for, to the tune of $550 million over the course of his boxing career. Now, at the end of his career, it's public news that he's losing his house in foreclosure in 2012, and my heart broke for him, and I reached out to him, and he just happened to reach back. And so when I spent time in the boardroom with him for 3 days, we found clarity around what to do with what he knew. What to do with what he knew. He could speak, he could share his life lessons, he could endorse companies from his celebrity, and all of a sudden he had a new charge in life to go out of the ring and just be Evander Holyfield. And, he's got a 7-figure income now outside of the ring, just sharing his story and being able to endorse companies and take pictures with people and have appearances. When I got to him, he didn't understand what was next. The clarity gave him the power to see the truth about what was next.
Yeah. I so agree.
So, yeah, go ahead.
No, I so agree. And I find that you have to know what you don't like to have clarity. You have to identify, these are the things that I actually don't like at all. I don't want them in my life anymore. So how can I realign myself with the stuff that I really like to do? And
Great point.
Yeah, and
I love that point, what you're saying. Yeah. You know why? Because I don't like this and I don't like this. Guess what happens? Most people, they stop there. That's where it stops. I don't want to be in another abusive relationship. And what happens? They end up in another abusive relationship. Why? Because they stopped at, I don't want to have another abusive relationship again.
Yeah.
They never went to, I want a man that is gentle, generous, on time, smells good, cleanly shaven, dresses hot, has a great body, drives a cool pickup truck, goes to the gym all the time, cooks, actually takes the garbage, is willing to wash my car and fill it up with gas when I'm not looking, sends me flowers, right? They never get to that. They only go, I don't want to be in another abusive relationship, and they stop there and they get another abusive relationship because the only focus they have is on an abusive relationship and there's no real clarity as to who they really want. But when they define who they really want and make the list, all of a sudden it's clear. You're not the guy for me.
It's so true though, because it's really like that's law of attraction, right? Like we feed that wolf and that's gonna take over, and that's what we're gonna attract again and again and again until we realize like that's not working for us, right? So, but I love that explanation. So, Marc, I know you have you're currently in Miami, but do you also coach? Like you travel, you have lots of different clients everywhere, and how can people get hold of you if they want to work with somebody who's so amazing like you?
Well, if they want to get a hold of somebody that's so amazing, they should really give you a call.
Oh.
Now, if you're all booked up and you don't have any time for anybody,
You'll take
they
them.
can give me a call. I'll take the leftovers. All the crumbs that fall off your table, I'll take them.
Great.
So yeah, I'm in Palm Beach, Florida, and it's the South Florida area, Miami, Broward, Palm Beach. I'm up in Palm Beach, and it's great to travel the world and work with clients. Yet it's just as easy to work over a Zoom call or a Skype call or a phone call. The cool thing about our business, Ebba, the cool thing about coaching clients is that we can do it live in person. We can do it live over Zoom or FaceTime. We can do it over the phone. We can do it through email or text. There can be an ongoing banter through text or emails. We're able to share thoughts and ideas and information with anybody, anywhere in the world at any time. And I'm able to go to Costa Rica for my 50th birthday and sit on a rock in the rainforest, get on my laptop and instruct somebody on something if I have to. That's the cool thing about coaching. So I don't travel as much, yet I have greater passion now than ever before to help people to really solve the issues of their life, albeit relationships, family, friendships, faith, career, money, fun and adventure, whatever it is. And they could easily just go to marcfeinberg.com and go to my website and check me out. But once again, that's after they called on you and you have absolutely no time for them.
Well, that's the cool thing with coaches. We all have our preferences, and we'll get the perfect coach for us that if we listen within, right? That's how I met you. And we have coaches, they come in and they come and go because they're fitting in that perfect time in our life where they can share their knowledge and when we need them the most. So yes, thank you so much. Thank you so much for actually coming to an end. I can't wait for our next call because I would love to do some topics with you. Maybe talking about more, standing in somebody's shadow, what that actually means and how you can coach yourself or what kind of tools you can use to get out of the shadow. But I'm so...
Well, do we have 2 minutes
Yes,
for you to
go ahead.
share?
Yeah.
Share? Why don't you share how you stepped around from the shadow and found your own, shining light out in the world, in your own personal situation? I'm sure you got the 2-minute version for us.
Yeah, well, one of the things that really helped me was working through my body as I started dancing. And when I stepped onto that stage or the dance floor, I couldn't pretend. I had to be in my body. I had to dare to take the next step and expose myself. And with the dancing, that's kind of how I found, like, oh my gosh, this is so much fun. And at the same time as I started dancing more, I became a coach and studied to become a coach. So it kind of went hand in hand. And then when we did, we set the goals, like when you came to our house, and we set lots of goals. And one of the goals was really to, heal from pain, be healthy, have abundance, but also win US Nationals. And that was a goal that was really important. Even though I didn't have any expectations, it just happened and I won. I did my performance and I did my dances and I came out with a big, trophy. That meant a lot to me because what we put our mind into can happen, and we just have to believe that we are that powerful. We are those, everybody has this, internal love and light that shines within. So it's just, becoming who you are by peeling away the layers of everything that you're not. So, as you know. Thank you for asking me.
When you invited me to that competition in Orlando, I had never been to a ballroom dance competition before. And I just thought you were poetry in motion, Ebba. It was so amazing to see the dance routines and the move and the energy with your instructor and just the energy at large with all of the dancers. I was blown away. It was just a fascinating experience being in a ballroom competition for the first time. What a treat.
It was cool. It was very cool. I'm so glad you could come. And I recommend everybody to start dancing because it's such a great way to heal and have, community. Dance with your partner is awesome if you can. So.
And how cool is it that winning first place, guess what? Everybody that was second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, and 10th is now in your shadow.
Yeah. Oh, thank you so much, Marc. I'm so happy for you, and thanks for coming on the show. I look forward to talking to you soon again. And for everybody who wants to connect with Marc and see what he's doing, you can follow the link under this video. And if you want to reach out to him, I'm sure we can put your information there that's needed.
Awesome.
Thank you so much.
Much love, Ebba.
Much love to you. Thank you guys for coming in and tuning in. Thank you. Bye.
Thanks for having me on the show.